Today, I'm sharing the top 10 winter steelhead fishing mistakes so you don't make them. What is up, outdoor mavericks, and welcome back to the channel. Winter steelhead is the fish of 1,000 casts, but it will take you 1,000 casts or more if you continue to make these mistakes when it comes to winter steelhead fishing. And we're starting off the list at number 10. Now, to start out the list at number 10 is to fish the early light. And this is one of the biggest mistakes as anglers in the wintertime when we're chasing winter steelhead. Normally when it comes to fishing, the early bird gets the worm. You actually want to be out fishing early, but when it comes to winter steelhead, the opposite is actually true. In winter fishing, you have both cold water and cold temperatures, which is a recipe for the fish to really be stagnant and not want to move. So one of the winter steelhead tips I've shared in the past is you want to fish later in the day when the water's had a chance to warm up, get the sun that's maybe gotten a little bit higher into the sky, and there's extra light on the water, because there could be a major difference in a 1-degree temperature change that could shift the fishery right then and there to turn it from a cold bite to a really hot one. Now, I've been on the water in the middle of the day when the temperature's just raised a half a degree or even just a degree because the sun's up, and that queued up the bite. The steelhead went absolutely insane. But if you do decide to go early, don't forget your coffee, because nobody likes a grumpy steelhead angler in the cold temperatures with no coffee. Coming in at mistake number 9 is trying to fish every single hole and every single little piece of water. And I'm talking about every little piece of water. Depending on the river conditions, and that's the height of the water, the clarity of the water, the atmospheric conditions you have around you. It could be raining, it could be sunny, it could be dry and clear. The river could be really low. The river could also be really high and a little bit in between colors. There's going to be situations where you want to fish every little piece of water. And I've got to tell you guys, that's the wrong approach. The approach that you want to take is to hit those high percentage spots. And this is really going to come down to the river system that you're fishing and what the conditions are like. In low clear water, the fish are going to hang out in very specific targeted areas in the river. When the river's a little bit higher, they're going to be a little bit more spread out, but you can't hit every single little pocket of water. If you're spending time in the drift boat or on the bank, you want to hit the highest percentage spots. Now, nothing can be more frustrating than making cast after cast not getting a bite, but that could be coming down to that you're trying to fish every little piece of water that's in front of you and trying to move really quickly. Part of this comes down to experience. The more experience that you put in, the more that you're going to see where those high percentage areas on the river are, and that's where you should target when you're steelhead fishing. Now, coming in at mistake number 8 is to give up too early. And I've done this myself and seen other anglers do this a lot, where you make 15, 20, 50, 100 casts, and it's just not happening. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you need to give up. Steelhead fishing, it's grueling conditions, it's the coldest time of the year, and steelhead are just really hard to catch. You may look easy, but it's not that easy. Some days it takes a lot of time, and you may only get that one bite or that one cast or that one perfect drip and get that perfect takedown and get that fish to the bank. And some days you're gonna hook them and you're gonna lose them. Anglers get deterred and they get frustrated and they just quit too early. And that could be from fishing a specific hole, a river system, or just fishing a technique, and they're just not getting bites. And again, it comes down to the little things. And what I always tell people, don't give up. Just focus and try to improve on something each time out. Try something a little bit different. If you're trying too many things, that's when you can get really messed up in your head mentally. Your gear's just not fishing right, and that's just where you're not going to be getting the bites. You got to put the whole package together. Now, coming into mistake number 7 is not adjusting colors of your baits to the conditions. And let's talk about this a little bit. In winter steelhead fishing, you can get some of the nastiest, dirtiest brown water, but you can also get some of the best gin clear little water fishing in your river system. And watercolor really dictates a lot about how you should be fishing and what colors you should be using. In sunnier days, you're gonna be fishing some more of those chrome, more of those silver type of spinners and spoons and plugs. Bead fishing, you might be going to lighter, subtler colors when the water is lower and clear. In higher and off-color water conditions, you might be using bigger gear and much brighter beads, but also really bright plugs and things like bright orange, pink chartreuse, or even the Yakima bait Dr. Death, which is one of my favorites. And one of the biggest mistakes as an angler, and again, I've done this a lot myself, is I'm not paying attention to what colors and how I'm matching it up against the water. I'll throw out colors that I'm comfortable using, and I'm not giving myself time to think about what's in front of me, how clear is the water, what are maybe some baits that I need to think about, and then trade out during the day. Now, coming in at mistake number 6 is to fish only one technique. Now, if you're starting out winter steelhead fishing and you're a little bit beginner or newer, fishing with one technique is actually really good because you get that boost of confidence. You get really good at fishing one technique and then moving on to learning other techniques. But if you're a seasoned pro and you're just using bobber and bead all the time, dude, come on, you're really doing a disservice and you're giving up a lot of fish that you could potentially catch by just sticking to one technique only. Winter steelhead are super finicky and hard to catch, and some days it might be a bead bite, other days it might be a spoon bite, other days it might be a complete plug bite and the bead guys just get completely shut out. You gotta have the flexibility to be able to move from bait to bait and change out your techniques. And if you're really big into bobber and bead and bobber and jig fishing, you definitely need to watch out for the trees because you can cast them in there pretty freaking easily. Don't ask me how I know. Now, coming into mistake number 5, this is a smelly one, and that is forgetting scent. It can be very easy when you're fishing spoons, spinners, beads, winter steelhead fishing to forget to put some scent on your gear. Now, steelhead are big into scent and they love shrimp, and shrimp is one of the best scents that you can use for targeting winter steelhead in particular. ProCure is one of my go-to scent brands, and they've got a ton of different shrimp scents that you can use on plugs and beads and spinners and jigs and pretty much any type of winter steelhead gear that you're throwing at these fish. A word of caution, if you're gonna use scent, make sure you pack it away properly and not put it in the back of your truck, because if that thing gets open, and you're gonna be in for a hell of a time trying to clean that up. Don't ask me why, I know. The coming in at mistake number 4 is sticking with the same color over and over and over again. Now, just like techniques, you want to change things up and not stick to one thing in particular. Now, when it comes to plugs, spinners, beads, jigs, there are thousands of different combinations of colors that we can use. So if you're only sticking to one, shame on you. And one of the things is you gain more experience and knowledge of the system that you're fishing. Year over year, day over day, month over month, you're gonna see differences in which colors are working, which colors are not gonna work. Some years, some colors are gonna be really good. The next year, maybe not so much. Again, even on a day in, day out basis, you need to be changing your colors because the conditions are changing. The fish might want just something different. And even throughout the day, you might have parts of the day that are sunny versus cloudy. Maybe it's a complete downpour or it's snowy and icy, and the fish are gonna want something different. But if you're starting out and brand new into winter steelhead fishing, I would stick in the oranges, the pinks, and the purples, and maybe something in the chrome section to start, just to try to build your confidence to start somewhere. But that doesn't mean you got to stick with that all the time. Changing up your bait colors is actually one of the best things that you can do. Coming in at mistake number 3, it also has to do with color, and that is not fishing with pink and purple. That's right, pink and purple are probably 2 of the best winter steelhead fishing colors for baits of all time. And out on the market today, there are so many different bead color options and so many different plug and spinner color options. We can really swap stuff out all the time. But when it comes to steelhead fishing, there's just something about pink and purple that they love. And so if you're thinking about high percentage opportunities, high percentage baits, they're gonna catch the majority of the fish, you wanna go in that pink purple color scheme. And then across both those colors, you want to have some darker purples, some lighter purples. You want pinks of all kinds of colors when it comes to beads, even pink spinners, spoons, and plugs. They definitely get massive aggressive bites when it comes to winter steelhead fishing. Should you go buy a bunch of those colors? Hell yeah. Do real steelhead anglers love pink? You betcha. Now, coming in at mistake number 2, this is a super interesting one on the list, and that is don't lose your concentration. And let me explain what I mean. Now, I love fishing because it gets me in the outdoors, it gets me outside, plus I'm not on my phone, I don't have to answer phone calls from my wife all day, but also it's relaxing, it gets your mind off other things, you can slow down and just enjoy what's in front of you, the nature views, and just enjoy what is, and that is fishing. But when it comes to winter steelhead fishing, as we talked earlier in the video, it may take a lot of casts to get that one takedown and that one fish. And if you lose concentration, that could mean the difference between getting a hookup and completely losing a fish. Now, one of the best tips winter steelhead fishing is if you think it's a bite, even if it's a rock, set the hook, because you'd rather set the hook and have there be a fish there versus not setting the hook and constantly losing fish. And this is a mistake I had to learn the hard way after 7 times in a row and accidentally hooking a couple fish and not necessarily setting the hook, and then I lost them because the hook came out because I didn't set the hook. I thought it was a rock. Now, these were my early days of winter steelhead fishing, and that was super frustrating because if you miss that split-second moment, you're gonna be losing more and more fish. Well, now that we've gone through mistakes 10 through 2, well, what is mistake number 1? Well, that is not fishing later in the season. Now, whether you're talking about the Midwest or any of the West Coast fisheries, the season is becoming longer and longer and later into the spring. We're talking about really good steelhead fishing in March, even all the way into mid-April. But for most places, winter steelhead fishing starts kind of around the Thanksgiving time, and we're talking about catching them 5 months later in April. So for all you guys and gals out there that are thinking the season wraps up kind of early March or even earlier, you're definitely wrong. Don't make that mistake. There's still plenty of steelhead around, and the runs are getting better year over year later in the season. Those B-run fish are coming through and they're gigantic. So if you want to catch some big fish and extend your season, fish into late February, March, and April for winter steelhead, and you could have a banner season. There you guys have it, the top 10 winter steelhead fishing mistakes. And I hope you've learned something from today's video, that you don't make the same mistake and you're able to catch more and more winter steelhead. Now, if you're looking for more winter steelhead fishing content, I got tips and playlists right here. They're gonna help you catch more chromie steelhead. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.